Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lunch for the Soul. I'm Melissa Wilson from Fox 26 Morning News. You may be used to our newscast. Just a reminder, I'm also a medical reporter for Fox 26. And with that job, I get to meet the most amazing families. Lunch for the Soul is typically introducing you to a family who has suffered unbelievably with a medical crisis. But you know what they do? They use their faith to get them through the really hard times. And every single time, no matter the outcome, they always end up coming out with a positive outcome, whether medically, physically, emotionally. And the Price family is the perfect example for that. So I'm going to bring them in right now and introduce you. Hello, Prices. How are you?
We're well.
Well, your story is priceless. So you had been in Houston dealing with a medical crisis off and on the past 3 years. Now you're back home in Mississippi. Welcome back home to you.
You.
So introduce us to your family, your precious kiddos, and then we're going to get into your unbelievable journey.
Well, I am Macy Price. This is our daughter, Tully Price, and our son, Thomas Price, and Jonathan Price.
Well, you have quite the journey to share. Let's talk about what happened because young couples get so excited to find out they're pregnant. You were on your second pregnancy with Precious Thomas, and then you found out some really tough, just unfathomable news. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we had Tully. She is 6, and then we got pregnant with Thomas, and we thought we have a healthy baby. Everything's going to be great. And it was not what we were expecting it to be. We got the diagnosis around 18 weeks gestation that his kidneys weren't functioning, and we basically didn't really have any options at the time from the doctor that gave us the diagnosis. But we found a clinical trial from the doctors in New Orleans happening in Houston called the RAFT trial. And
what a blessing for that, because he was diagnosed with multicystic dysplastic kidney. And again, where you were in Mississippi, tell us what the doctors told you about your pregnancy. I know we'll do it very easily and in an easy way in front of your children, but they didn't think there was any hope for you, did they?
They didn't. No, there was nothing that around here. They said to basically terminate the pregnancy. If he did make it to be born, he would only live for a few hours, or he would most likely be a stillborn.
That was some tough news to get. What did you do at that point with your faith? Did you start praying? Did you just ask God for guidance? What did you do at that point? Because I know you said no matter what, you were not going to take their advice and end this pregnancy.
Yeah. It took a little bit. I feel like I mourned for a while, just thinking I'm carrying this baby. He's so lifelike. Like I could feel everything. I felt all the movements. I felt everything, and it was like I just couldn't believe that he was going to die. That they told me he was going to die, and I said, I think it was my mom had made a comment that none of us are promised tomorrow. Not even us. We can get in a car wreck, something happens. She said, we're not going to mourn this child that's not gone. When God wants him, he'll take him. Until then, he's our baby. We will love and, do whatever we have to for him. And there was like a light switch went off. I was like, this peace come over me. I was like, okay, yeah, we're doing this. I can't explain the calm that I felt. That it's like all the peace was gone.
And we take a look at him, and the only reason he's with us today, certainly a higher being I feel like sent you in the right direction, and that was here to Houston.
Yes.
So you find out that there's a trial, and then you have to go through testing. So how fast did you pack that car and head this way?
We literally went to New Orleans for a second opinion, and that's where Dr. Biggio had heard about the RAFT trial, and he got us in touch with Dr. Johnson. We checked with Dr. Johnson to see if we qualified, and we drove 2 hours home from New Orleans to pick up Tully, drop her off with my parents, and we drove back to Houston. And there was an out. The bridge was
on fire.
The bridge was on fire. Yeah, so we had to. So it took us about 13 hours versus 7 hours to get back to Houston for a 7 a.m. appointment.
How did you keep your faith at that point? You had to feel like the odds are just like stacking up against you. Were you just so frustrated, or did you just say, okay, it's just one other thing we're going to get through? How did you handle that? That sounds so incredibly stressful to me.
So along the way, because we made several trips back and forth to Texas, I noticed these billboards from Mississippi to Texas, and it was, it said, choose life, pray, pray, pray. And every time I feel like that was my sign, like, okay, we're going the right direction. God's telling us this is what you're supposed to be doing. And there was like 5 or 6 of them between.
I have goosebumps. That
Yes.
is an unbelievable thing to see. And you know, how many times on a busy road trip are you not even paying attention to billboards or anything, but those kept capturing your attention? I feel like it was meant to be. I call them little God wings, right? Like just something to keep you going.
To tell you, yes, you're doing the right thing. Just go.
Yeah.
So I felt that it was like he was saying, this is the right decision. You just keep going.
Well, I had the honor of meeting up with you and then in the doctor's office who was leading this trial. And in all the years of my medical reporting, I don't know that I have ever met someone that caring and loving. And I know you feel the same way. He is a remarkable man.
Yes. I mean, like I said, he's like family to us. He's not a doctor to us.
Mm-hmm.
He's more than that, for sure. We love him.
And we're talking about Dr. Anthony Johnson.
Yes.
And so along the way, and one of the reasons I say this, along the way, your family really got close with some of the other families going through the same thing, but these babies were dying left and right. They weren't making it. And this doctor would actually travel to go out, even out of state, to their funerals because he cared so much about these families. That is just so remarkable to me.
Yeah.
It's because getting into the trial, we have many consultations with not just him, but other doctors as well, to give us the reality of the fact that it's an experiment. They can't promise it's going to work at all. And so to get that perspective and to get their professional opinions is something we had to hear. But then whenever it doesn't work out for some families, to see that there's a connection there beyond just the scientific experimentation. There is still the commitment that he has beyond just the scientific part of it is pretty impressive. And
I feel like I almost buried the lead that we need to get right to this, and then we'll go back. The big news here is that your son became the first child in the entire nation to receive a kidney transplant through this RAFT trial. What did that feel like for him to be leading the way and for you to get this second chance of life with him to undergo this huge procedure?
It's definitely bittersweet because we are super happy and thrilled, and but we also feel like we don't deserve this any more than all the other parents who attempted this trial. We just hope that he's the first of many. Really, we do.
Yeah. And it was definitely a team effort. I mean, it's always, Thomas is our baby, but he's also everybody else's that has been involved with him. I mean, it was like whenever we were in the ICU after transplant, we had people coming in and saying, we did it. Like we all did it. And it's true. We all did it. It took us, a rough road, but we all did it.
Yeah. I mean, it when you hear it takes a village, this takes it to a whole new level, doesn't it? Okay. So let's go back in time a little bit. So he was born at 35 weeks.
Right.
So at that point, what was this like, the moment that you got to hold your baby and see him? And I'm sure you had this fear throughout your pregnancy that you're trying to control, and then he's in your arms. What was this moment like?
I mean, I was happy just to see him. I mean, it was overwhelming for sure about, I had already mentally prepared what I was going to be up against. So I guess I wasn't as shocked as some people thought I would be. But JP kind of experienced more than I did with it, because he was.
I was there, and I had been at our daughter's birth, and so I kind of knew what to expect. Macy had told the doctors in labor and delivery that once she got the shot, a baby was going to come, because our first baby came pretty quickly, and they really didn't listen too well, and they gave her the shot, and everyone kind of dispersed to go do whatever they had to go do, and then all of a sudden we're like pushing the button saying, "Get in here, he's coming," and some random, I guess, resident popped in and delivered Thomas. He did a good job, but it was in retrospect, it's kind of funny, but it didn't initially came out. Initially it took it wasn't like our daughter, so I knew something was different or going on. But they quickly took him over to the little corner there and did some rub his chest and got him breathing and gave him a little bit of CPAP, which is amazing because he was supposedly going to be born unable to breathe. So yeah, for the first maybe a minute there, I was kind of worried, like something's wrong, because it wasn't like our first birth. But they quickly got him in shape, and he came around.
What about the following day? So dialysis had to begin quickly because obviously his kidneys weren't able to function. So they had to hook him up in order to allow machinery to do what our kidneys do, which is filter everything in our bodies. What was that like to have this tiny little baby going through that? And how did you emotionally work through that? I'm sure being thankful that something's available, but then, in a way saying, "Are you kidding me? This is our newborn and he has to go through this." How did you balance those emotions?
Well, I had also already gotten into my head that we probably wouldn't get to hold him immediately, because that was they made it sound like they would rush him to the NICU and all this stuff, but they let us hold him right after birth. So that was a little shocking and exciting for us, obviously. But once he got to the NICU, we knew the next day they pretty much had told us he would have all his surgeries, to have all his placements of catheters and lines and G-tubes. And he was going to be the second baby on Aquadex in that hospital. And I think we're pretty terrified at that point, knowing that he was going to have to be on hemodialysis at 4 pounds, 8 ounces.
On an experimental machine.
On a machine that they were using off label. Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot to take. Okay, so let's talk about then you were told at first that a lot of these babies end up staying in NICU for a year. They were thinking maybe with him, he was doing pretty well, 6 months. Not even close to that for your family. Tell us about that journey and what a relief it was to not have to stay in NICU or neonatal ICU for so long.
So yeah, the NICU ended up being 6 months, which is more or less what we expected. We got to take him home after that. We were home for about a year, but he had various infections over that year. And the doctors in New Orleans, who had been seeking his care, wanted to replace his dialysis catheter. And we thought, okay, well, he's at the weight that the transplant surgeon in Texas said he needed to be for transplant. Let's not replace the catheter. Let's just skip the transplant. The doctors in New Orleans knew that Thomas was a special case, and they didn't have a lot of confidence in their skill level there. And they were honest with us. And they knew who the doctor was in Texas and said, yeah, that's the guy y'all need to go to if y'all want this done right now. So we went back to Texas, and what we thought was going to be just a couple of months to get evaluated and get some things set up, it turned out to take a lot longer than that because there were some speed bumps. We were there for about a year before the kidney came, and now we're home.
What was it like balancing your lives in Mississippi, but being in Houston so much? I mean, it's it can be challenging to have 2 children and just go on a fun trip and pack and be away for a while, but we're talking years and really moving your whole lives. How did you do that balancing act? That's a lot.
I don't know. By the grace of God. So I really quit my job. Because we were going to Texas so much. And once we got into the trial, I was pretty much supposed to stay in Texas. So, and that was because if anything happened, they could handle us better than our local hospitals could handle us. But JP worked the whole time. back and forth between Mississippi and Texas.
Yeah, I was very fortunate that my company, they after COVID, they definitely were flexible. Even though they ended the remote work policies, they continued to allow me to do that because of our situation, and I obviously was able to prove that I could accomplish my task remotely. So I was very, very blessed that my company was flexible with me, and hopefully they'll be flexible with others in my situation in the future. Hopefully I prove to them that they can trust employees to, do the best they can. And her parents have been amazing, and her brother and sister have been amazing blessings to us to help take care of our daughter while we've been gone. My sister and her husband have been great helps to us too from far away.
Oh, that's huge to have family support like that. It makes such a big difference. I hear his sweet voice, and as you take a look at him here, how much does this amazing child mean to you and his strength to get through all this? He's just so absolutely precious.
He has definitely been happy throughout all this. Even in times where he's had pretty severe infections, he's been really just giggly. He rarely gets upset. He rarely shows pain, and that makes it a little easier on us.
Yeah. He's just so well. A lot of love makes a huge difference in that too, right?
It does, yeah.
And I wonder about balancing your daughter too. How do you make sure that she always feels like she's so important to your family? Because I do see you've got this balance figured out. What do you suggest to other parents when they have one sick child? I went through something similar with my own son who had cancer treatment for 3.5 years. And the sibling was just, I felt like many times as difficult to deal with, to make sure he didn't feel left out or ignored. How do you do it?
It's tough. We've tried our best to keep totally informed on everything the best we can, and any questions he asks, we try to answer them honestly and clearly. And but we do, like, whenever we were taking turns being in different locations, we would try to spend a lot of time with her, dedicated to her, and play with her. And when we were in Texas, she'd go to the park while Thomas was in the NICU, and we'd go to the zoo, and we would do activities with her as often as we could. We had very good teachers in school that would also understood our situation, and they also gave her the right amount of attention and focus, and helped her if she ever asked any questions at school. So yeah, we just did our best to make sure she feels appreciated, and I know she probably feels some days that her brother gets more attention than her, but we do our best to let her know that we love her, and that we're all here together now. So
I love that. Look at her beautiful face too. You're so cute. What do you think about all this, sweet girl? You enjoy your little brother? I hear you're a very good big sister. Do you have fun together? You can just nod your head. Yes, no, yes. Yeah, there we go. What a sweet girl.
she's very helpful. She likes to help us do a diaper change, or well, maybe not the diaper itself, but she'll help us get some wet wipes or some clothes or socks or whatever.
That's nice to have a little helper too. I love that. So tell us what life is like now. So you got the kidney transplant. That's its own emotional basket case. I know it's such a difficult ride for families, because you're heartbroken that somebody lost their life for your child to thrive, but your child is thriving now. What does that look like with anti-rejection drugs and his future ahead? He's handling all that really well, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah, so far we still got some things to unpack from our trip back from Texas. We accumulated.
Literally, you just got back.
Yeah, about a week ago, yesterday.
And I'm back in the office, so it's not like I can continue to work remote anymore. So a lot of it's been on her shoulders. But yeah, it's just not so bad. I mean, it's back whenever we were home and he was on peritoneal dialysis, that was quite a bit more work as far as taking care of that every night. That's more than just giving a few meds, through a G-tube. That's much more serious and complicated and critical. But yeah, timing the medicines hasn't been too difficult. He still appears to be handling it well. We've got some follow-up appointments we need to do here in Mississippi that we're still trying to set up. But
I feel like I'm calmer this time. I didn't realize how stressed I was the first time we come home, and the dialysis was so hard, and it was like I don't know. I'm just a lot calmer. I have
Yeah.
more of a peace of we're doing better this time, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. When you look down at this precious boy, how much love, what do you feel when you see him? I just see so much love in your eyes when you talk about him.
Oh, I mean, it. I guess I'm in shock sometimes still because it's all still so raw from our diagnosis. Like I still feel that pain, and I can still see him, and it's like, wow, we did it. But I can still feel all the emotions of being told he wasn't going to make it, or to terminate, or it's all still a weird mixture of feelings that you still overcome with.
Yeah. I just can't believe how well adjusted he is because, most kids this age are not going to let mom and dad's attention be away for almost 20 minutes now. And he's doing so great. And he did the same thing during our interview. And do you know what I loved about Dr. Johnson? He is so much fun. When we were at UTHealth Houston, he put your precious boy in his little buggy, I'm going to call it, and was literally running him down the halls.
He was.
It's so much fun. That is just the most unbelievable doctor at UT. It's just a true joy.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to him? Because he had you guys from the get-go.
Yeah, we love him, and we're really glad to have participated in his trial, and hopefully him and his staff have learned a lot, and we look forward to hearing about lots more successes, and obviously we'll stay in touch, and he'll be a part of our life forever.
Well, and that's the thing about a trial. I know they learned so much from your positive outcome that will hopefully help future families to come. Price family, I hope you continue to be blessed. Keep us updated. I'd love to check back in with you. When do you come back to H-Town, to Houston?
They said we can do everything through remote doctor visits, but we will at some point go visit again, and we'll let you know.
Yeah, well, please do. We'd love to follow up with you. God bless you and your precious family. And we just certainly wish you the very best. Thank you for being here on Lunch for the Soul.
Yes, thank you, Melissa.
All right, be blessed. And you blessed us with your story. Thanks everybody for being here. I just want to remind you, if you maybe joined us late and you want to watch this entirety, then you can always go to Fox 26's YouTube page and you can find this. You can also go to fox26houston.com, probably search the Price family, kidney disease, and you'll be able to find this as well under Lunch for the Soul on our website. But if you have any ideas, you're always also welcome to reach out to me. I'm always looking for them. Easiest way is probably to email me. It's just my name at fox.com. So Melissa.Wilson@fox.com, and I would love to feature you here as well. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Be blessed, and I'll see you here next week, same time, Wednesdays at 12:30.